Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Anthony Monaco. My channel is pretty new, but on this channel we go over local service businesses, different startups that you can start. Today I just want to make a quick video going over 3 questions you should ask yourself before you start any business at all. First question you should ask yourself before starting a local service business is, how big of jobs do you want? Do you want to build the business that has a lot of jobs, like a car detailing business or a lawn cutting business where you need to have lots of customers, 50 to 100 repeat customers to grow a business? Or do you want to have a business that takes higher ticket jobs like a construction company, a painting company? Typically these take a lot more skill to do, but you have to decide before starting your business, do you want to have high quantity, low cost, or low quantity with high cost? Do you want to have to find more leads, more jobs constantly? Or do you want to find one job a week or one job a month that you can take on with a team or a crew? 2 things. High quantity means you typically have to have more employees to handle these jobs, but it's much easier to train these employees. Higher cost, lower quantity, you can typically do these jobs with less employees, less management. You can do the job yourself with maybe a couple guys, and you can grow a very big business. But typically in these businesses, construction, painting, it takes some sort of skill that has to be trained. You're typically going to pay your employee quite a bit more because this is a skill business. It's a higher profit business typically, but it's also higher cost, higher skills. But that's the first question you want to ask yourself before starting a service business so you can pick the right one. Question number 2 is, how much time do you want to put into your business? Now, depending on how much time you want and can put into your business, it depends if you have a job, if you have other priorities, other responsibilities to take care of. Depending on your age, how many hours you're willing to work a week, that's going to determine kind of what type of business that you're trying to grow. The nice thing about the higher quantity jobs is while you are chasing leads more often, you can train people at a much earlier stage. Like a house cleaning business or a car detailing business, it does not take a whole lot of work to train somebody on how to do these tasks. With that being said, with low trained employees, lower cost employees, you're going to have a much higher turnover rate. You're going to hire more employees, you're going to have to deal with more employees. But with these businesses, you can grow and scale quickly and then have less time in the field and more time managing employees, managing the business, and managing customer relations. Versus construction or painting, it's going to be a hard time finding the right people that can do those jobs. You're going to be doing a lot of the work to begin with for the first 6 months to a year, depending how quick you scale. Potentially even longer if you're unable to find people with the skills to do that business. Question 3, the supply and the demand in your area. Depending where you live does change the type of business you're going to run. Something like a lawn cutting business, it's going to be very different depending where you live. Some neighborhoods don't have a lot of yards. Some neighborhoods don't have the type of lawns you're going to want to be cutting. A car detailing business could be run almost anywhere because almost anybody has cars. Now the problem is if you live, in the middle of nowhere, unfortunately it's going to be hard to start any business. You're going to want to find a complete gap in the market because if your customer quantity pool is low, you're gonna have a hard time fighting over customers. Now, if you live in a big city, you have hundreds of thousands to millions of people in your city or the local cities, well now you're gonna have more companies around you, but you're also gonna have more customers. To open a business in one of these areas, you're gonna have to be highly competitive. You're gonna have to work a lot of hours to outrank these other companies. You're gonna have to have good SEO in your business. You're gonna have good SEO on your website, good marketing, maybe some better marketing strategies than other companies. Whereas if you live in the middle of nowhere, maybe you're gonna wanna find a gap in the market instead of trying to, compete against a business that's already there when the customer pool is so low. Now you also need to make sure that the people in that area want that service. If you're starting a car detailing business, everybody has cars. So most likely, everybody's gonna want their car cleaned. And the price of that is pretty low. Now, if you're running a remodeling business or a construction business, well, if you're in a very low income area, and you don't have any high income areas around you, it's gonna be a lot harder to find those big jobs. People without money, unfortunately, they're not gonna pay for the services. You're gonna be putting out a lot of quotes with a very low conversion rate, whereas in a place with high income, you can get these jobs a lot more often. Big painting jobs, big commercial jobs, big construction jobs, big excavating jobs, big, if you live in cities with high development, you can do, foundational work because there's a lot of houses being built. You can, run a siding company, a framing company, a general construction company. You can be a general contractor, but this is not going to work very well in an area that doesn't have a lot of construction going on. You want to be in or somewhere near within a half hour to an hour of an area that's growing in population, it's increasing in size. There's lots of buildings being made, lots of houses being built. These are great for painting businesses. They're great for, construction business. You want to find your supply and your demand before you start your business. You want to make sure that, before you go and invest a bunch of money in equipment, unless, you have a easy business like lawn cutting, that you're actually going to have the ability to get customers in those areas. Otherwise, you're going to spend a lot of money on equipment and you're not going to see any return. So those are the 3 questions you want to ask yourself before you start your business. 1, like I said, number 3, supply and demand. Make sure that there is a demand for your product and there's not too many people doing it in your area. Number 2, the second question is how much time you want to spend on your business. It makes a huge difference. Some people skip this and they end up unable to grow their business. Some businesses take a lot more time to grow. If you're not willing to put in 80 hours a week, some businesses are going to be very, very difficult to grow. Unfortunately, that's how it is. Some businesses you can grow at 10 hours, some it takes 40, 50, 60 hours a week to grow. And the first question you always want to ask before you start your business, because you don't want to have to go back and start a new one: high quantity, low cost, it's a different style of business, or high cost, low quantity? Make sure you ask these 3 questions. Thank you guys for sticking around. Hit the subscribe, hit the like. Make sure you guys stick around. I run 2 local service businesses that both do over 6 figures. I plan on starting a couple new companies. I plan on running an online business soon. More information about that in the future. I'll probably make videos on my journey, so you guys can see the journey of an online business while I'm also talking about local service businesses that I do. Once again, a local service business is the best way to start in the industry to get into being an entrepreneur. You can make money quick. You don't have to have amazing skills. Check out my other videos. I'll be giving you guys lots of different ideas for businesses you can start, so make sure you stay tuned. Thank you. You guys have a good rest of your day and get out there and grind.